in the last couple of seasons, or like the last 10 years in the English leagues, they had a tendency to bring in foreign players. Do you think that has changed, or will that continue?
It largely continue, because I mean, you look at foreigners and generally they're a cheap option. Without being disrespectful, you can. Sometimes the lower league football clubs, when they get a good 17, 18-year-old kid coming through, can overprice it, and sometimes the value that they ask for doesn't necessarily equate with how much you're willing to pay. And sometimes when you get a 16-year-old at Sweden, who you can spend, for Man United, like Man City for example, they'll spend £200,000 or £300,000 on a player that is looking for £1 million from somewhere in League Two, and it's unfortunate that it's happened like that. More to the fact that the money from the Premier League and TV rights doesn't filter down the leagues, and you can understand why clubs will try and cash in on their younger players for that reason. So it's unfortunate, but at the same time, it's a good it's a good selling point for lower league clubs. I remember there's a fella from League Sit now. He's coaching with Ipswich Town, Ger Nash. He was in Ireland's under-16s team, and Celtic were after him, Man United were after him, Liverpool were after him, and he signed for Ipswich for the pure fact that they turned around and said to him, if you're as good as we think you are, then you're going to make it at our level anyway. We'll put you in the first team when you're more or less ready. Whereas at those big league big teams, you run the risk of falling into their academy and falling out. And just because you're at Man United doesn't mean you're going to get a game for them.
So it's a case of you stand out at a lower club, you get a better chance than trying to stand out. You get to
showcase yourself at a younger level. Listen, I mean, I'm not saying that Man United aren't doing a terrific job, because listen, I mean, their record stands for themselves, but at the same time, you look at some kids, they need to play as quickly as they can, and is it better that they play in youth team, reserves team, or do they go and experience adult football as soon as they can? And Ger was brilliant, because he played for Ipswich and he made his debut for them. He was unfortunate that he had his knee injuries, but like with Aaron Ramsey, I mean, I'm sure Man United and Arsenal, Liverpool, and all the big teams were after him. It's just people be sold in the same story, that you're going to get there anyway. So at least you can show people how good you are at clubs like ours.
And how do you think the Irish scene is in terms of?
Very strong. So I was looking at a breakdown of the latest transfer windows in January and in the summer, and the 70% of all transfers are now Irish players. Granted, there's not a huge amount coming across from the Aircom League into the Premier League teams, but at the same time, it's great to see kids are being gambled on in Ireland, and it's terrific. Sometimes Irish kids are a little bit they can get homesick fairly quickly, and because everything in Ireland is so close around them, they kind of get lost in the system a little bit, thinking that again, once you're at various clubs that you've made it, and that isn't the case. But we had an Irish kid we had Stephen Last. He's now with Bray. We had him over for 2 seasons, and just immersing him in academy football made him a better player. And it's unfortunate again that he didn't make it with Cardiff, but you hope that he has a decent career somewhere else. Keith Fagg was the same. He left. I think it was Arsenal or Villa, and he came back and played with Belvedere. He didn't even go into the Aircom League, and he's an Ireland international now. So sometimes you need the break from all the stress and all the harsh football that is in the UK, to come back and start enjoying football again. And he came back to Belvedere, and he signed for Pats, and he was brilliant for them.
What advice would you give to junior football clubs, say here in Ireland?
If I was talking to players, I would say it's a hard life trying to make it as a footballer. I think it's more difficult than people try and make out, that they think that because you can kick a football that you should be a good player. There's the amateur league in the UK, and the non-league is full of players that were at league clubs and never made it. You know, I think sometimes kids at a young age think when they're, if even to sign with an Aircom League team, that their life is made, and it's not. You know, it's a whole lot more hard work involved, and you know, a lot of being a footballer is about, a young footballer is about sacrifice. You end up, you know, working every weekend and not being able to go out because you're not on enough to be able to go out, and you know, sometimes the kids think that they can have the lifestyle at a young age and be able to be a good footballer. It doesn't work both ways. You know, you can't burn the candle at both ends. You know, you end up, you know, our footballers, because you know, they want to go out and they want to go out and have drinks and whatnot, and go to the pub and go out and go to nightclubs, and you know, it can't be done because you end up being tired, and you end up being tired in one day of training, and why are you tired and all the rest of it. It's just, you know, you're as well off just, if those that want to make it as a professional footballer, you know, they have to be focused to be able to get there. You know, and some the sacrifices you have to make are, you know, when your mates are hanging around at 10 o'clock at night, you know, you should probably be in bed because you should be at training or doing something to, you know, to be able to kind of get you there. You know, and
it requires a mental adjustment. It's just, listen, sometimes it isn't for everyone. You know, and those that, you know, that are focused enough to make it, and you know, that want to make it will. And regardless of, you know, they won't all play for Man United. Some will end up playing for, you know, Boston or Burton Albion, and you know, the conference or League Two. You know, but there's still a good living to be made at those levels. You know, and so again, those same sacrifices have to be made. You know, nothing is ever handed to anyone for nothing. You know, you have to go and get it, and if that means that you have to kind of stay in when you should be going out, and while your mates are talking about going out, then you know, that's what you have to do. You know. Do you feel that at times some kids go spend a couple of years in the academies, they feel they have an entitlement?
Yes, you could say that they, you know, even when they're over there, that they should be, you know, I'm better than him, and I should be in the first team, and I should be training with them, and you know, Sir Alex Ferguson has such a terrific philosophy with the youth teams. You know, when the kids turn up, that, you know, when they sign their academy forms at 17, they're given a pair of socks, shorts, and a T-shirt. And that's it. That's all you're training. You know, you've been told.
Keep it simple.
No, it's not, because you have to. You know, if you want extra kit, if you want a jumper, you have to earn the right to have it.
Right.
You know, their goalkeepers aren't allowed to have leggings until they're in their 20s, and they've earned the right to go and get it. You know, and
so it's like an incentive scheme.
Very much so, and you know, he was one of the first managers to ban players wearing coloured boots, because he said that they tend to get distracted by, oh, you're wearing, you know, Adipures, when he should be, you know, arguably they're saying, well, you know, just wear normal black boots. You're Adidas World Cups, and you know, that's it.
And do you think that attitude has spread across other teams?
It hasn't. It's funny because, you know, we were before, you know, I was having a chat with the coaches, and you know, they were saying that some of the Man United kids that come through, they have such terrific attitudes because of the way that they were brought up. You have other Premier League clubs will hand out players that, you know, they'll swarm into clubs and they'll give it a large one, saying, oh yeah, this, that and the other, I'm in Man United, or I'm in Spurs, and I have a divine right to be here. And the Man United lads, they've brought up a little bit differently, where they have, I mean, everything they've done, they've earned. Mm-hmm. And they've earned the right to go out and loan, they've earned the right to have a reserves contract, and you know, a couple of £100 a week, whatever it is. And you know, again, it's something to showcase Sir Alex Ferguson, that you're willing to go and play, and you've earned the right to go and play. And you know, that's why, you know, you're like Darren Gibsons and Fletchers, and you know, even David Beckham went out on loan to Preston, and you know, for that reason, that you know, he earned the right to kind of be there, you know, and look where they are now. And
do you think maybe other players, other clubs are pampering the players a little bit too much before they achieve anything?
They do pamper them, you know. A classic example now is, you know, we had a lad from Man City last year, Kelvin Atu, he's Dixon Atu, his brother, who's currently playing for Fulham centre mid, and you know, Kelvin was a decent footballer, you know, but you know, had various problems in his life, and he got sent to jail the day before yesterday for being in a brawl. And you know, you think to yourself, it's such a waste of talent. Mm-hmm. You know, you kind of, I mean, when he was I'd love to ask him, when he was at Man City, was he there for the right reasons? Did he want to be there? Did Did he want to play? And all the rest of it. So it's unfortunate for him that it pans out like that sometimes. But